You know, our stories are so important, and they are so important to God that God sees the possibility of your story being transformed and becoming something so beautiful and something so unique. And so I'll just maybe go back to where I had an encounter with Jesus when I was 17, but I didn't grow up in a very religious home. My dad was very anti. My mom was searching, and then I lost my mom when I was 11. And as you can imagine, at that age, your whole world just gets completely, it feels at the moment like obliterated. And I remember the years that followed that. I didn't have this foundation of knowing the God of possibilities at that moment. And it felt like every relationship would now have to be reinterpreted and redefined. And I remember that year after she'd passed away, and I wasn't allowed to go to the funeral. I think my dad thought he was protecting me. And so there was that sense of not really dealing with the loss and not really understanding fully or comprehending. And so that very difficult year of kind of walking around in a haze. And then something happened. I was 12 at the stage a year later, and I was helping out in a camp in the mountains, and I went and sat on the stairs, and I remember that there was a beautiful sunset up ahead, but I couldn't see it. It was like it was flat. And so it was almost like there were these possibilities, this warm, beautiful sun that was drawing me, but I just couldn't see it. And suddenly grief overwhelmed me. And I felt like I was being throttled, like somebody had me by the throat and was squeezing the life out of me. And it was an incredibly dark, dark moment. And in that moment, I hear my mom's voice, like she was right next to me. And she used to call me Melan, and she said, Melan, and I knew. It was that voice of, hello. And she just said to me, I need to share something with you. I am so, so happy and at peace where I am. I am so content. Now we need to talk about you. And she said, now I want you to listen to me. And I knew at that moment I better listen. And she said, I want you to live your life to the full and never, ever let my death be an excuse for you not to live. Now live. And in that moment, it was like I could breathe. It was like I was taking my first breath, and the sun just streamed in, and I felt its warmth. It was like it penetrated my whole being, and I knew from that moment, I was 12, I didn't completely understand the full extent of what had happened in that moment. I didn't understand fully the God who had shared himself with me in that moment, but I knew that I had permission to live, and I would live.